Did the scream come from fear, or from something already breaking? Ria Delgado heard it cut through the academy mess hall like a blade through fabric, thin and sharp and wrong. Her hand froze around her utensil. Across from her, Pip's wings began to click faster, a nervous staccato that sounded like rain on cheap metal. The small LANNI sat rigid, compound eyes fixed on a point behind Ria's shoulder. "He's watching again," Pip whispered. Ria didn't turn at first. She already knew who he was. Commander OSS Tun Draw, CORVATHI, scaled, decorated, untouchable. His presence had weight in this place the way gravity did, unseen, unavoidable, crushing if you weren't built for it. "Let him," Ria said softly. She broke her protein ration into careful, tiny pieces and slid one across the table. Pip's mandibles weren't made for standard-issue food. Most cadets never bothered to notice. Ria always did. Around them whispers, a human feeding a LANNI, a coddling a bug. Ria didn't care. 6 months ago, she'd found Pip collapsed during physical drills, wings shaking, exoskeleton cracked from strain. Earth gravity would have killed them outright. Station Hellion 4 was kinder, but not kind enough. Ria had lifted Pip without thinking and carried them across the finish line. "You're my partner now," she'd said. Pip hadn't been alone since. The clicking grew louder. Ria finally looked up. Commander Draw stood at the entrance, reptilian eyes sweeping the room. His gaze landed on Pip. He smiled. Something cold settled behind Ria's ribs. "Attention, cadets," Draw announced. "Tomorrow at 600, all units will participate in a stress evaluation exercise. Attendance is mandatory. Pairings will be random." Random. His eyes lingered on Pip a fraction too long. That night the shared quarters were quiet except for Pip's soft humming sleep sound. Ria sat on her bunk, ceremonial blade across her knees, drawing stone along steel. Humans had carried blades for 100,000 years. The Academy called it a cultural allowance. Ria called it survival. Her instincts, old, inherited, sharpened by that killed the careless, were screaming. Danger. She watched Pip sleep, small, fragile, essential. "Nobody touches you," Ria whispered, "ever." Zero gravity felt like drowning in air. The training chamber stretched endlessly, a maze of floating platforms and barriers. 50 cadets waited. Above them, the observation deck glowed. Commander Draw watched. Pairings flashed onto Ria's wrist display. Her breath stopped. Pip assigned across the chamber, teamed with Gauss and all CORVATHI, all connected to Draw. This wasn't random. Ria pushed off toward the observation deck. "Commander, I request reassignment." Draw's tail swished. Amusement. "Pairings are final, cadet." Pip's physical condition. "Are you suggesting a LANNI can't meet standard requirements?" Draw cut in. "That would be discrimination." He had her. Push harder and Pip would suffer alone and Ria would be punished. Ria returned to her position. The exercise began. She moved automatically, clearing obstacles, but her eyes never left the far side of the chamber. Something was wrong. The CORVATHI weren't completing tasks. They were herding Pip deeper into the maze, away from cameras. Ria changed direction. "Cadet," the system warned, "return to." The scream hit. High, shattering, like glass breaking inside a chest. "Pip!" Ria launched herself through the maze. Cadets scattered. Humans adapted fast, faster when someone they loved was in danger. She found them hidden behind barriers. Pip lay crumpled, exoskeleton split, green fluid leaking. Shock batons live, glowed in CORVATHI hands. Gauss laughed. "Should stayed on your own planet." Ria hit before he could finish the next strike. Zero-G turned her into a missile. Bones broke. Joints failed. Screamed when his shoulder tore free. Gauss collapsed, choking. It took seconds. Ria knelt beside Pip, hands shaking. The crack was deep. Too deep, Pip whispered. Quiet, Rhea said. Save your strength. She looked up. Commander Draw stood pale behind the glass. Security rushed. Rhea set Pip down gently. Then she climbed. 50 meters, smooth metal, no ladder, no lift. Human fingers found seams no one else could use. The observation deck door bent inward. Draw stumbled back as Rhea stepped through, uniform torn, Pip's blood on her hands. Stop, a security officer ordered. The stun bolt hit her shoulder. She absorbed it, kept moving. They fell one by one. Draw raised his plasma pistol, trembling. Rhea took it from him and crushed it like foil. You hurt my friend, she said. She grabbed his arm. The cameras caught everything. When the static cleared, Rhea walked out carrying something long and scaled. Blue blood dripped onto the floor. Commander Draw screamed behind her. Rhea didn't run. She dropped the arm beside Pip's medical team and sat down. That's for touching what's mine. She waited to be arrested. She only asked one question. Is Pip going to live? 3 days passed. On the 4th, Admiral SCI entered the cell. You tore off a commander's arm, she said, and you're not afraid. Pip is alive, Rhea answered. That's all that matters. The Admiral studied her, then turned to leave. The LANNI has woken up, she added. They're asking for you. Hope flickered. The tribunal would come, the galaxy would judge. But somewhere in medical, Pip was alive. And that was enough for now. The story was no longer about rage. It was about cost. And what survival demanded, when hope was fragile and worth everything. Why did the room feel smaller once hope had a name? Rhea learned that waiting could be heavier than chains. The holding cell was clean, too clean. Smooth walls, regulated light, no corners for shadows to gather, designed to calm, designed to break you quietly. Rhea sat on the narrow bench with her hands resting on her knees, posture straight, eyes unfocused. She had survived worse environments on Earth, jungles that tried to poison you, cities that tried to swallow you, but this place was different. This place expected her to feel regret. She didn't. Every time her thoughts drifted toward Commander Draw's scream, they stopped short of guilt and landed somewhere colder. Calculation, necessity, finality. Pip was alive. That truth anchored her, everything else floated. The door slid open without warning. Admiral SCI stepped inside, scales dulled by age, eyes sharp with something that hadn't softened despite decades of command. She dismissed the guards with a flick of her hand and studied Rhea like a puzzle she hadn't expected to enjoy solving. You know the tribunal convenes in 12 hours, said. Rhea nodded once. You know the CORVATHI Council is demanding execution. Another nod. And you still don't intend to say anything in your defense. Rhea finally looked up. There's nothing to defend. Tilted her head. You crippled a decorated commander. He crippled my friend, Rhea replied, flat, unemotional. I stopped him. The Admiral exhaled slowly. Do you understand how many political systems are balanced on that arm you tore off? Rhea considered the question. Do you understand how many systems would kept balancing if Pip had died? Silence stretched. Watched her for a long moment, then surprised Rhea by sitting on the opposite bench, not as an interrogator, as an equal. Fear, the Admiral said quietly, is the currency of this union. CORVATHI rule because others fear them. Humans are feared because no one understands you. Rhea's jaw tightened. We understand us. Exactly, he said, and that's what terrifies them. She stood. Get some rest, cadet. Tomorrow decides more than your life. After she left, the light dimmed. Rhea didn't sleep. Across the station, Pip woke to pain. It flooded their body the moment consciousness returned, sharp, invasive, electric. Their thorax was wrapped in rigid supports, healing gel cool against cracked exoskeleton. Machines hummed softly around them. A nurse noticed the twitch of wings and rushed forward. "Easy," she said. "You're safe." Pip tried to speak. Their voice came out thin. "Rhea." The nurse hesitated. "She's in detention." Pip's wings stilled. "No," Pip said, not loudly, not weakly, with certainty. "Take me to her. You're in critical condition." "If she dies," Pip replied, compound eyes locking onto the nurse's, "I will never heal." Something in their gaze, quiet, unyielding, made the nurse swallow. "I'll get a transport chair," she said. Minutes later, Pip was moving through the station, every vibration sending pain through their body. They didn't care. They replayed the training chamber again and again. The smile, the scream. Rhea climbing the wall like gravity was optional. Rhea carrying the arm. The image filled Pip with conflicting emotions. Horror, gratitude, awe, and guilt so sharp it bordered on panic. "She did that because of me." The tribunal chamber was worse than Pip imagined. It was built to make the accused feel small. Vast ceilings, dark stone, representatives of a dozen species seated in tiers like gods judging a single mortal. Rhea stood in the center, hands bound, wearing prisoner gray. She looked calm. That scared Pip more than rage ever had. The prosecutor, a tall corvathi with polished scales, paced slowly. "This human exemplifies why species cannot be trusted. Violence is their first language, mutilation their solution." He gestured and footage filled the air. Rhea moving, Rhea breaking, Rhea walking forward as stun bolts failed. Murmurs rippled. Pip clenched their hands. "Does the accused wish to speak?" Admiral asked. Rhea lifted her head. "I would do it again." The chamber erupted. The prosecutor smiled. No remorse, no restraint. "I have a witness," said calmly. The doors opened. Pip floated in. The chamber fell silent. They were small in that vast space, broken, bandaged, but upright. Their transport chair hovered forward, stopping beside Rhea. Pip looked at her first. "You shouldn't be here," Rhea whispered. Pip's wings clicked once. "Neither should you." They turned to the tribunal. "My name is Pip," they said. "LANNI Tactical Division, Cadet First Class." Their voice didn't shake. They told the truth. About the pairing, the live batons, the settings meant for combat, the smile from above. They presented medical scans, records, data. The prosecutor interrupted. "Speculation." "No," Pip said. "Evidence." Instructor stepped forward next. Old, fragile, unafraid. 6 years, she said. 17 incidents, 2 deaths. The chamber changed then. Fear shifted direction. Commander Draw was called. When Pip asked the question, "Why did you smile when I screamed?" the answer spilled out of him like rot. "None of you belong here," he hissed. "Bugs and apes pretending." That was enough. The verdict came like a controlled explosion. Draw stripped of rank, crimes acknowledged, truth exposed. Rhea's sentence reduced. When the Admiral spoke of being necessary, Pip felt something unfamiliar bloom in their chest. Validation. Afterward in the corridor, Rhea and Pip stood side by side. "We're partners," Rhea said. Pip hummed softly, "Yes, we are." 6 months later, stars drifted past a viewport. Officer Blue replaced Cadet Gray. Scars remained. Fear lingered. But when the distress signal came from a transport, Rhea didn't hesitate. And Pip realized something profound as they ran toward the shuttle together. Hope wasn't fragile because it was weak. Hope was fragile because it was worth fighting for. And sometimes, worth tearing worlds apart to protect. What does hope cost when the universe finally demands payment? The shuttle shook as it tore free from the steady wing's docking bay. Warning lights flared red. The captain's voice crackled through the comm, tight with authority and fear. Unauthorized launch. Officer, return immediately. That is a direct. Rhea cut the channel. The stars outside blurred into streaks of white as the shuttle jumped to combat speed. Her hands were steady on the controls. Her breathing was even. This wasn't rage. This was purpose. Across from her, Pip gripped the edge of the crash couch. Their wings were pulled tight against their back, every muscle rigid. The data scrolling across their wrist display confirmed what their instincts already knew. 3 Raider ships. Vector closing. Civilian transport. Minimal defenses. My family is on that ship, Pip said again, quieter this time, as if repeating it might somehow make it less true. Rhea didn't look at them. Then we're already late. The Raiders appeared on the forward screen, sleek, predatory vessels built for speed and terror, not honor. Their weapons flashed as they strafed the transport's hull, peeling away armor, forcing breaches. The ship was massive, slow, never meant for combat. It was built to carry lives, not defend them. Rhea opened a channel to the transport. This is Officer Rhea Delgado, Galactic Union. We're boarding. A voice answered, fractured by panic. We don't have authorization codes. The Raiders are inside. Then lock down Deck 7, Rhea said. That's where they'll go. Pip looked up sharply. How do you know? Because it's where the families will be, Rhea replied. Predators go where the fear is. She docked hard. Metal screamed as clamps locked. Before the pressure seal fully stabilized, Rhea was already moving, pulling her vest tight, checking the blade at her side. Pip followed, pain etched into every movement but determination overriding it. Inside, the transport was chaos. Civilians ran through corridors too narrow for panic, cried out in high, keening tones that scraped against Rhea's nerves. Smoke hung in the air, carrying the sharp scent of burned circuitry and fear. The first Raider rounded the corner laughing. HFY. He barely had time to register surprise before Rhea closed the distance and drove her elbow into his throat. Bone cracked. He went down hard. Another raised a plasma cutter. Rhea took the hit across her shoulder. The pain was white-hot, immediate, but she stayed upright. She always did. The fight was brutal, close, intimate. Raiders weren't soldiers. They relied on intimidation, on their reputation. They hadn't planned for resistance. They definitely hadn't planned for a who didn't slow down when injured. Pip stayed behind her, calling out threats, mapping movement, feeding Rhea information faster than any tactical AI. Left junction, 2 hostiles. Deck 7 access sealed, but they're cutting through. Rhea, your flank. Rhea trusted Pip completely. Every step, every strike was guided by that voice. They reached Deck 7 as the doors blew inward. Civilians huddled together, thin bodies shaking. At their center stood an older, wings spread wide in a protective arc. Raiders advanced, weapons raised. Rhea stepped into the open. Wrong ship, she said. One of the Raiders laughed, just one human. Rhea charged. The corridor became a blur of motion and sound, metal against bone. Shouts cut short. Raiders fell, one by one, their confidence collapsing faster than their bodies. They weren't used to prey that fought back. They weren't used to something that kept coming. When the last Raider fled, bleeding and broken, silence rushed in to fill the space. Rhea stood in the center of the corridor, chest heaving, blood, hers and not, spattered across her uniform. Pip pushed past her. They froze. Across the deck, a cluster of stared back, smaller, younger, older, a family. Pip made a sound Rhea had never heard before, high, raw, uncontrolled. They crossed the space in seconds and collapsed into that cluster, wings trembling as thin arms wrapped around them. They cried together, a soft chorus of relief and disbelief. Rhea stayed where she was. She always did this part last. An older approached her slowly, movements careful. Their compound eyes studied her, not with fear but with something deeper, appraisal. "You are the human," they said, "the one who saved our child before." Rhea nodded, "Yes." "And you came back, knowing what it would cost." "Yes." They reached out and placed their thin hand over Rhea's knuckles. "Then, you are family." The word landed heavier than any sentence Rhea had faced. Later, after Union ships arrived and the wounded were treated, Rhea and Pip sat in the transport's observation lounge. Stars drifted past, indifferent and endless. "You didn't hesitate," Pip said quietly. Rhea leaned her head back against the wall. "Neither did you." Pip's wings clicked softly. "I was afraid." "So was I." "That didn't stop you." Rhea turned to look at them. "Fear never stopped humans. It just tells us what matters." Pip considered that. "You're going to be in trouble again." Rhea smiled faintly. "Story of my life." The comm chimed. Admiral's face appeared unreadable. "You disobeyed direct orders," she said. "Stole a shuttle, engaged raiders without authorization." Rhea straightened. "Yes, ma'am." Studied the damage reports scrolling beside her. The saved transport, the captured raiders, the civilian casualties, 0. "You protected Union citizens," the Admiral said finally, "at personal risk." "Yes, ma'am." The corner of his mouth twitched. "I should demote you." Rhea waited. "I should confine you to administrative duty." Still waiting. "Instead," continued, "I'm assigning you and Cadet Officer Pip to the Frontier Patrol program." Pip's eyes widened. "The places where rules fail," the Admiral said, "where survival still means something. The galaxy needs people like you there, both of you." The channel cut. Silence settled again. Pip let out a shaky breath. "We keep doing this." Rhea nodded. "Seems so." Pip looked out at the stars. "Do you think it ever ends?" Rhea followed their gaze. Thought of Earth, of Hellion 4, of broken wings and torn arms and choices that couldn't be undone. "No," she said, "but I think it keeps meaning something." Outside, the stars burned on. And somewhere deep in the galaxy, stories were already spreading, not just of a human violence, but of her loyalty. Of what it cost to stand between the weak and the dark. And of how hope, once chosen, never let go. How long can something hold together before the cracks finally choose where to break? Frontier space didn't announce itself with banners or warnings. It arrived quietly. The stars thinned. Trade lanes vanished. The comforting hum of Union traffic faded into long stretches of silence broken only by static and distant gravitational noise. The patrol ship's steady wing moved through it all like a careful thought, sensors extended, weapons powered but quiet. Rhea stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind her back, eyes fixed on the forward viewport. Officer Blue still felt unfamiliar against her skin. Rank still felt like something borrowed, not owned. Behind her, Pip hovered at the tactical console, wings giving the occasional soft click as data streamed across their displays. "Radiation levels are fluctuating again," Pip said. "Not naturally." Rhea nodded, meaning. Meaning someone doesn't want to be seen. Frontier Patrol wasn't about glory. It was about absence, missing ships, silenced colonies, places where law had thinned enough for cruelty to seep through. It was also where reputations arrived before you did. "They're watching us," Pip added. Rhea glanced sideways. "Who?" Pip hesitated. "Everyone." The first station they docked with confirmed it. A mining outpost clung to a fractured moon, its hull patched so many times it looked stitched together. Workers stopped moving when Rhea stepped off the ramp. Conversations died mid-sentence. Eyes followed her, wide, cautious, calculating. The human, the one who tore off a commander's arm. Rhea felt the weight of it press down on her shoulders. A CORVATHI foreman approached, scales dulled by dust and age. "We didn't request Union patrol," he said carefully. "You're on a Union supply route," Rhea replied. "That makes you our problem." The foreman's gaze flicked to Pip, lingering, assessing, then back to Rhea. "We've had losses." "From what?" Pip asked gently. The foreman hesitated. "Raiders, slavers, doesn't matter. They come, take what they want, leave bodies." Rhea's jaw tightened. "Why didn't you report it?" The foreman gave a humorless huff. "Because the last time we did, a CORVATHI commander sent training oversight." The silence that followed was thick. Pip's wings went still. Rhea felt something old stir. Not rage, not yet, something closer to fracture. "We're not that kind of oversight," Rhea said. "Show us." They found the survivors in a sealed habitat ring. 2. A child hiding behind an overturned crate, eyes too old for their face. Pip knelt slowly, careful of their still healing thorax. "You're safe," they said, voice low and steady. The child didn't move. Rhea crouched beside Pip, lowering herself to the child's eye level. "You don't have to trust us," she said. "Just don't run." The child studied her. The scars, the posture, the stillness that promised violence only if forced. "Did you really rip his arm off?" the child asked. Pip sucked in a sharp breath. Rhea didn't look away. "Yes." "Why?" "Because he hurt someone who couldn't fight back." The child nodded once, as if that answered something they'd been carrying for a long time. That night Rhea couldn't sleep. She stood alone in the observation corridor, staring into the void. Frontier space reflected too much. No distractions, no crowd noise, just thoughts echoing back at you. "You're spiraling," Pip said behind her. Rhea didn't turn. "Am I?" "Yes." "Because I don't regret it." "No," Pip replied, "because you're starting to think you should." That hit closer than Rhea expected. "I keep seeing their faces," Rhea said quietly. "The cadets, the security officers, draw." "And Pip said softly. Rhea turned then. "I see you broken on that wall every time I close my eyes." Pip drifted closer. "You didn't break me. I escalated it." "You ended it," Pip corrected. "There's a difference." Rhea shook her head. "Is there, or do I just tell myself that so I can keep functioning?" Pip hovered in front of her, wings clicking in a slow, thoughtful rhythm. "On my world," they said, "we believe survival leaves a residue. No matter how justified the act, something stays with you." Rhea swallowed. "What do you do with it?" "You carry it," Pip said, "or you let it rot you from the inside." Before Rhea could respond, alarms blared. "Multiple contacts," the bridge officer called. "3 ships, no transponders." Rhea was moving before the words finished. "Battle stations." The ships emerged from sensor shadow, patched hulls, mismatched weapons. Raiders, the same kind that had attacked the transport. "They're broadcasting," Pip said. "Open channel." A CORVATHI face filled the screen. He smiled. He said, "We heard stories, thought we'd see if they were true." Rhea leaned forward. "Leave now." The raider laughed. "Or what? You'll kill us all." Rhea paused, just long enough for doubt to flicker through the bridge crew. Then she said, "If you make me." The raiders opened fire. The fight was different this time. No civilian corridors, no panic, just cold maneuvering in open space. Rhea piloted like someone who understood momentum the way others understood language. She used gravity wells, debris fields, patience. They disabled one ship, crippled the second. The third tried to flee. Rhea had a clear shot. "Rhea," Pip said quietly, "they're retreating." Rhea's finger hovered over the trigger. She remembered Draw's scream. The child's eyes. Pip's broken thorax. "Let them go," Pip said, not pleading, trusting. Rhea exhaled. Mark their vector, send it to Union Command. The raider ship vanished into the dark. The bridge was silent. You could ended them, the helmsman said carefully. Yes, Rhea replied, I could have. She turned away from the viewport, something heavy loosening in her chest. Later, alone again, Pip joined her. You chose, Pip said. Rhea nodded. I'm trying to learn where the line is. Pip's wings clicked softly. Lines move. What matters is that you see them. Rhea stared out at the frontier stars, scarce, cold, unforgiving. Hope still existed out here. But it was thinner. And holding onto it was starting to hurt. What breks first? The body, the bond, or the belief that holding back can still save anyone? The distress call came without coordinates. Just noise, static threaded with breathing that didn't quite sound alive. Rhea listened to it twice, jaw set, eyes unfocused. Frontier space had a way of teaching you patterns. This one felt wrong, too fragmented, too intentional. It's bait, the navigator said quietly. Pip tilted their head, wings still. Yes, they agreed, but not random. Rhea turned, explain. Pip pulled the signal apart layer by layer, fingers moving with precise economy despite the faint tremor that still lived in their hands. The modulation matches civilian emergency bands, but the compression algorithm is CORVATHI military. Old, decommissioned. Rhea's mouth tightened. Someone wants us angry. Or careless, Pip said. The bridge waited. Frontier crews learned quickly when not to interrupt humans making decisions. There was a stillness to Rhea when she was thinking that meant motion would follow, fast, decisive, irreversible. Plot the signal's strongest echo, Rhea said. We go in dark. The steady wing slipped off active scanners and let inertia carry it. No lights, no broadcasts, just cold movement through colder space. They found the wreck drifting near a dead star. A transport make hull breached, no life signs. Pip's wings fluttered once, sharp and involuntary. Rhea felt it like a physical blow. They boarded anyway. Inside, the ship was silent in the way only aftermath could be. No bodies, no blood, just overturned belongings, ripped panels, and the faint chemical trace of stun weapons. Slavers, Rhea said. Yes, Pip replied, and deliberate. A sound echoed through the corridor. Metal scraping metal. Rhea raised a fist, the team froze. From the shadows stepped a figure Rhea recognized instantly. Commander OSS Tundra. Thinner now, paler. His prosthetic arm gleamed dull silver under the emergency lights. His scales were uneven where pride used to sit. You should have killed me, Draw said. Rhea didn't move. I thought prison would be worse. Draw smiled crookedly. It was until I escaped. Pip floated forward despite Rhea's instinctive reach. You staged this, they said. The signal, the ship. Yes, Draw replied. I wanted you here, both of you. Rhea's voice dropped. Where are they? Draw's eyes flicked to Pip. Alive for now. Rhea felt something inside her tear. You wanted me angry, she said. Congratulations. Draw laughed softly. No, I wanted you predictable. The lights flared. Hidden doors slammed open. Raiders poured into the corridor more than before, better armed, organized. The fight exploded. Rhea moved like memory, every strike efficient, every motion lethal without excess. She broke weapons, disarmed attackers, used walls and gravity and momentum. Pain registered only as information. But there were too many. Pip stayed close, calling threats, hacking doors, rerouting gravity fields to slow the attackers. A stun bolt caught Pip across the side, sending them spinning. Pip, Rhea shouted. I'm still functional, Pip gasped, but their wings stuttered. Draw watched from behind cover, satisfaction flickering across his face. You see, he called, this is what you are, a weapon. no matter how gently you try to hold it. Rhea reached Pip and hauled them behind a bulkhead. Pip's breathing was shallow, too shallow. "You need to fall back," Rhea said. "No," Pip replied. "They'll use me again." Rhea clenched her jaw. "I won't let them." "That's what you said last time," Pip whispered, not accusing, afraid. The words landed harder than any blow. Rhea stood. She stepped into the corridor alone. Draw's smile widened. "There she is." Rhea advanced. She didn't rush, didn't roar, she walked. The raiders hesitated. Something about the absence of fury unsettled them more than violence ever had. Rhea disarmed one, broke another's leg, used a third as a shield. She took hits. Plasma burned her side, a blade cut her thigh. She stayed upright. Draw backed away. "You can't keep doing this," he hissed. "You'll burn out. You'll become exactly what we said you were." Rhea stopped in front of him. "Maybe," she said, "but not today." She grabbed his prosthetic arm and twisted. Metal screamed. Draw howled. She didn't tear it off. She deactivated it. Let it fall uselessly to the floor. Then she stepped back. "Run," she said, live knowing I chose not to finish it. Security sirens wailed. Union signatures appeared on scanners, delayed but real. Draw stared at her with something new in his eyes. Fear without superiority. Rhea turned away. She found Pip slumped against the bulkhead, wings trembling, eyes unfocused. "I'm here," Rhea said, dropping to her knees. "I've got you." Pip reached out weakly. "You didn't." Rhea swallowed. "No." Pip's wings clicked, faint but deliberate. "Thank you." Later in the medical bay, Rhea sat alone, hands stained again, this time with her own blood. Admiral appeared on the screen. "You disobeyed protocol," the Admiral said. "Yes," Rhea replied. "You engaged a known enemy." "Yes." "You allowed him to escape." Rhea met her gaze. "I did." A long pause. "You're not the weapon they want you to be," said finally. "That makes you dangerous in a different way." Rhea didn't respond. "Frontier Command is changing," the Admiral continued. "Slowly, because of you, because of what you didn't do today." The channel closed. Rhea leaned back, exhaustion finally pulling her down. Pip joined her minutes later, wrapped in fresh supports. "You hurt," Pip said. "Yes." "You chose restraint." "Yes." Pip rested their head lightly against Rhea's shoulder. "That matters." Rhea closed her eyes. For the first time since Hellion 4, the scream in her bones quieted. Not gone, but listening, waiting, and for now willing to stand down. What does redemption look like when the universe apologizes for what it took from you? The frontier didn't forgive. It remembered. Weeks passed after the ambush near the Dead Star. Reports filtered in through fractured channels, slaver routes disrupted, raider cells dissolving, whispers of a human officer who fought like a storm but chose at the last moment to pass like rain instead of lightning. The stories were inconsistent, exaggerated, uncomfortable. Rhea let them spread. She spent most days on patrol, most nights awake. Healing took time when you didn't let sedate you fully. Her side burned when she breathed too deep. Her thigh complained with every long stride. Pain was familiar. It anchored her. Pip healed slower. Not physically. That happened quickly enough. Biology was resilient when it chose to be. It was the quiet moments that took longer. The way Pip's wings stilled when alarms chimed. The way their voice hesitated before saying her name. Rhea noticed she didn't push. One cycle, as the steady wing drifted between stars with engines at idle, Pip floated into the observation lounge and stopped beside her. The glass stretched wide, showing a field of dim stars clustered like a memory half forgotten. "I've been thinking," Pip said. Rhea waited. If Commander Draw hadn't escaped, Pip continued, if the ambush never happened, do you think you would have learned where your line was? Rhea considered the question longer than she meant to. No. Pip's wings clicked once. Neither do I. They stood together in the quiet. A priority signal broke the stillness. This one had coordinates. Union SEAL, high clearance. Admiral's face filled the screen, older than Rhea remembered, eyes sharp, but tired in a way that spoke of decisions made too late at night. We've located the slaver convoy, said. The one that took them from the wreck. They're using a hollowed planetoid as a transfer hub. Rhea felt the old pull, the instinct, the hum under her skin. There are civilians alive, Pip asked. Yes, replied, including the ones you were baited with. Silence followed. This isn't a patrol mission, the Admiral continued. This is a strike, clean, final, no retreat. Rhea looked at Pip. Pip looked back. You don't have to send us, Rhea said. His gaze didn't waver, I know. After the channel closed, Rhea turned fully toward Pip. You don't have to come. Pip's wings lifted, then settled. Neither do you. Rhea exhaled slowly. I can do this alone. Yes, Pip said, but you shouldn't. They prepped without ceremony. No speeches, no promises. The planetoid was dead rock carved into something obscene, cages, docks, holding bays lit by harsh white light. The slavers didn't expect resistance. They never did. Rhea breached first. This time she didn't rush. She moved like a shadow with weight, disabling systems, sealing exits, cutting power section by section. Pip stayed behind her, mind slicing through networks, opening cells, guiding captives to safety routes with calm precision. When the slavers realized what was happening, it was already over. They fought anyway. Rhea ended it quickly. Not cruelly. Just completely. In the deepest chamber they found the captives. Shaken, alive, Pip froze at the threshold, wings trembling. Rhea stepped back, giving space. A small looked up, recognition dawning. You came back. Pip swallowed. We said we would. The evacuation took hours. Union ships arrived late, as they often did. Medical teams flooded the planetoid. Statements were taken. Evidence logged. The slaver hub was marked for destruction. Rhea stood at the edge of the docking bay as the last transport departed. You could killed more, said, appearing beside her. Rhea didn't look away from the stars. I killed enough. Studied her. Frontier Command wants you permanently. Rhea finally turned. And Pip. They asked for you both. Rhea glanced across the bay where Pip spoke softly with a cluster of, their posture open, their voice steady again. Good, Rhea said, we're a package. Months later, the galaxy felt different. Not safer. More honest. Rhea and Pip became something new on the frontier. Not symbols, not legends, a constant. They arrived where others didn't, stayed when others left, drew lines that didn't move just because power demanded it. Fear followed them. So did hope. One quiet cycle, drifting between assignments, Pip joined Rhea at the viewport again. Do you ever wish, Pip asked, that you hadn't come from a... Rhea thought of Earth, of gravity that crushed and strengthened, of storms, of things that survived because they had to. No, she said, but I wish the galaxy didn't need what that made me. Pip's wings clicked softly. Maybe one day it won't. Rhea rested her forearms against the glass. Maybe, until then. Pip completed the thought. We do the work. The ship slipped through the dark, steady and unafraid. Somewhere behind them, a planetoid burned into nothing. Somewhere ahead, someone would need protecting. And somewhere in between, a girl and her friend carried the quiet knowledge of what survival really cost, and why, despite everything, it was still worth paying. Because hope didn't mean the world stopped hurting. It meant someone stayed standing when it did.